I'm a 5-time surrogate. I started back in 2014. We met on our first date and we decided to have babies together. Like, I'm grateful that she took a chance on me. I think the question that a lot of people want to know too is, why did you continue so many times? I first learned about surrogacy from where we all get our information. Social media. I'm not kidding. I saw a flyer for egg donation, and about 3 months later, I was pregnant with my first surrogate babies. Hi, my name is Joanne Richardson. I'm a 5-time surrogate, and this is about why I became a surrogate and how I got started. I'm a 5-time surrogate. I started back in 2014, and I delivered my last surrogate baby of September of 2023. So last year, about 5 months ago. Did I say that? I'm not sure. Becoming a surrogate wasn't something that I dreamed of doing. It wasn't something I had on my to-do list. I didn't even know anybody who was a surrogate or even used a surrogate. Maybe. I don't think so. I had previously had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine years before we even had kids of our own. We talked about like who we would be a surrogate for, not even knowing what it was like to be pregnant and deliver babies. But it was like a conversation of, I would do it for my sister. I would do it for you because you're my really good friend. I didn't even know people carried babies for people they didn't even know. From the beginning, it was one of those, I remember it like it was yesterday moments. And I really do. I still remember what I was doing, where I was sitting, what Brad was doing. It was the summer of 2014, June-ish. I'm pretty sure it was a June. Brad was out playing with the kids in the backyard. It was a sunny day. My son was 2. My daughter was not even 1 year old yet. She was turning 1 that September. I was scrolling Facebook and I came across a flyer for egg donation. And I asked him, what do you think about egg donation? And he said to me that he thought it was he thought it would be weird to have someone who's biologically connected to you out in the world that you didn't know. I don't think it's weird now. Like, obviously he doesn't have any eggs, but he was relating it to if he was going to donate sperm. And I told him that I had thought, like, I hadn't thought about egg donation, but that I had thought about being a surrogate. I told Brad I thought about being a surrogate, and he gave me the, yeah, right, you know, that look like, okay, what are you doing now? You know? And of course, that I mentioned that I had this conversation with my friend, and that was it. Like, I had thought about it. It was one of those, yeah, whatever. You know, you thought about it, you're never going to do it kind of things. So I told him, I'm going to look into this. So I must have looked, I can't remember exactly what I did, but I must have looked online to see if they offered surrogacy, which they did. I probably read up on it. And then I called the agency that Monday and I spoke to the gal. I don't remember what I asked her. I probably was just like, oh, I'm just curious about becoming a surrogate. Like, what does it entail? Probably all the questions you have right now about being a surrogate. I asked those questions. What does it entail? What do you do? What should I do? I think she asked me a little bit about me. And do I have kids? Am I married? Like, what does that look like? Like, I'm just speculating right now. I can't exactly remember, but it must have gone that way. Because she said, you should put an application in. And I was like, okay, I will. Not thinking that this was like the full-blown application. I thought that this was just the next step that you would do when someone would contact me. I would meet with somebody. We would talk about it further. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. It was the full-on application. So at this point, I'm just going with the flow. And if you want to become a surrogate, I don't recommend just going with the flow in this situation, okay? I was going with the flow. Everything kind of just lined up. So I filled in the application. I had to have Brad help me with a couple different things. I don't think that he thought I was serious. I don't think that he thought I was like, we were going to do this thing. At this point, I thought I was just putting in the application. I was going to talk to somebody. So I fill out the application. I send it back over. The director of the agency called me back and said she was going to work on my profile, because it's kind of like dating. You have a profile, intended parents have a profile, at least with this agency, because it's a larger agency. And they try to match you with people who you would be compatible with depending on the things that you put on your application. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, and they also mentioned that it could take up to 3 months to be matched. So give them at least 3 months before you go to another agency. I don't even know. Even if I didn't get matched, I don't think I would go to another agency. I don't know if I would even have pursued it if it took a long time. I didn't know what to expect. This was like all new to me. Hello, going with the flow, Joanne. But she called me a week later. They had somebody who wanted to meet with me. They were in, it had to be like, it was like a rush job because she was in from France. She must have been here to get an egg retrieval. I didn't ask very many questions back then. What were you doing? Like, what were you doing, Joanne? A week later, they called me and wanted to know if I could meet. I met her a mile down the street at my local Starbucks. She was really great. She told me her story. It was like being on a first date. We met on our first date and we decided to have babies together. Like this is what happened. She told me her story. I told her who I was. And looking back, I just was like, I'm grateful that she took a chance on me. Like a lot of people want someone who's a proven surrogate. They want to know that you can do this because there's so much involved. It's so costly. It's so time consuming. They've been through this journey, depending on what their journey is. They've already gone through a long journey and they just, like, disappointment is hard. Like, heartache is tough, right? So I'm grateful that she took a chance on me and that everything worked out. We decided to move forward. 3 months later from that meeting, I was pregnant. I think the question that a lot of people want to know too is like, why did you move forward? Like, when you learn about something, or I want to know, like, what caused you to move forward? And then why did you continue so many times? I moved forward because at that time, I had a few friends who were struggling with fertility, not to the point where they were using like a fertility specialist or having to use a surrogate, but needing some interventions. During the time that this was happening, when I was becoming a surrogate for the first time, I had a friend at the time who was having a baby that wasn't going to live very long after delivery. This really just touched me. It just touches me right now just thinking about it. I just remember the heartache that must have been to be on this, to go through this journey of getting pregnant, being so excited, just imagining going through a pregnancy and then having to say goodbye right away. It just is heartbreaking. And I know that doesn't really translate to like surrogacy or fertility directly, but the heartache that families go through month after month after month trying, and some like trying to get pregnant and then not, but also just think about the getting pregnant and being excited and then like having a miscarriage, or it doesn't go full term. That's why I moved forward. Like that's the story. That's why I decided to do it this first time. I didn't know that I was going to be a surrogate 5 times. I don't even think Brad thought I was going to do it more than once, just because it's like this huge process. There's so much that goes in it. There's so many appointments. There's so many injections that I'll talk about. I just knew that I could help people. I had really smooth pregnancies with my 2 children. I did have a C-section with my first delivery, but Lila, I had an unmedicated birth. It just happened that way. With all my surrogacy journeys, everything went pretty smoothly. There's a little bit of hiccups along the way. The reason why I continue to be a surrogate for many years is because after seeing the parents hold their babies for the first time, I could not do it again. I think that I got more out of the process and out of helping people than they did. You could say like they have this tangible thing, it was whatever, but I feel thankful to have been able to do this for 5 different families. And just knowing that there are people out there who are happy. I'm just thankful that they took a chance on me, and I just hope that everybody's healthy and happy and lives a really great life. That's it. That's the story. That's how I got started. Thank you. If you made it to the end of this video, thanks so much. This is my first video. It took me forever to get started. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I would love to know if you have any questions about the surrogacy process. Don't forget to subscribe. I think I was supposed to say that. And then share it with a friend.